next brand is actually going to ruffle some feathers, but that's okay because I just don't have any luck with it, and I know a lot of other people don't as well. I know this is like a tried and true favorite for a lot of resellers out there. Unfortunately, the reality is I think the market is just too saturated. I think there are too many resellers that are trying to sell it, so I don't think it's worth it, and I probably won't ever pick it up going forward. Everyone, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Nicole and I'm a part-time reseller on Poshmark, and today I'm going to talk about brands that I will never source again. These are brands that have just not sold for me. I've tried to sell them. They've either sold really low or they just took a really long time to sell, and I just don't find that they are worth picking up. And I know a lot of you probably agree with these, so let me know down below which ones you agree with and maybe which ones that you still pick up. The first brand that I will never pick up again just because it really doesn't sell like it used to is Sperry's. Now, don't get me wrong, Sperry's is a great brand and I actually personally like their shoes, and I know like their boat shoes are like a classic shoe, but I just really can't seem to sell them for more than like 15-20 bucks anymore, and really that's just not worth it. I used to be able to sell them for upwards of $45-50 per pair, but they just really aren't selling like they used to, and I'm even finding that I'm sending offers on like brand new pairs and they're just not selling even for as low as like 10, and I just don't think it's worth it anymore. Love the shoes, but it's just not worth the resale value. Okay, the next one is an oldie brand, but I used to love sourcing it. I actually used to get it all the time at the Salvation Army. It is actually Vera Bradley. So specifically like their handbags and their purses and things like that, I just can't get them to sell anymore, and I don't really source them that often anymore, but when I do get them, you know, really cheap, or I get them for free from family and friends, I really have a hard time flipping them. I could only really sell them for a couple dollars, and I know that they're worth more than that. I know that they're like expensive to begin with, but people are just not looking for those kind of bags anymore. It's just not what people want, and therefore they end up sitting for a very long time. Okay, the next one is actually Michael Kors clothing. So Michael Kors in general has really gone downhill for me, doesn't sell like it used to, and I know this because I actually have a couple Michael Kors listings right now and they're just not selling. But I used to be able to sell their handbags for a good amount, and recently just can't do that. In the last few years it's really gone downhill, and specifically clothing, anything that's clothing. So I've tried to sell jeans, dresses, even like gloves and different things like that, and they just do not sell. And when they do, it's like a very small amount, not worth it. And I know a lot of other people have struggled with Michael Kors over the years, and I actually think it's really ironic because I know a lot of family and friends that will, you know, come out sourcing with me or give me clothing to sell for them, and they'll be like, oh, this is a Michael Kors piece, like look out for it, make sure you know, list it at a good price. And I always have to tell them like it just doesn't sell like you expect it to. And this is a good example of a brand that is just not worth the retail value when it comes to reselling. So I don't really plan on sourcing it anymore. If I get it for free, I will sell it, but I do not plan on buying it because it just doesn't sell, and it's just not worth collecting it in my closet. Okay, the next brand is actually Eliza J. Now, I actually had a bunch of pieces many years ago, probably 3-4 years ago at this point, that were all like really nice dresses from Eliza J, and they were selling for me pretty well, so I continued to pick it up when I would find them at the thrift store. But after a while, they just really stopped selling, and I remember the last Eliza J dress that I sold, which was a really nice piece. It was a larger size, it was in good condition. It just sold for like not a lot of money, and it wasn't worth picking it up in the end. And their pieces are really well made, so it kind of surprises me, but again, just not worth it. It wasn't selling and really just was taking up room in my closet. Okay, the next brand that I will not pick up anymore is Calvin Klein. This one kind of surprises me because I feel like this was a good brand many years ago, and I just feel like maybe the resale value isn't there. I don't know. I just can't get things to sell unless I really sell them cheap. And I think that's kind of like the case for a lot of these. It's just you have to sell them really cheap for them to sell. And I don't want to be selling things super cheap just to get them to sell. And especially if I'm picking it up in the Goodwill or, you know, anywhere like that, I don't want to be even picking it up if it's not going to sell, or if it's going to sell for a very small amount. So Calvin Klein is one of those brands that like I have continued to pick up in the past, and it just is not moving like it used to. And So it's just not worth it to me. I know at one point it was a really, really popular brand, but it's just not where it was many years ago or even a few years ago. Okay, the next brand is actually a really decent and kind of expensive brand. It's called Tahari. This brand I used to sell a lot of, and I just can't seem to flip them anymore, and I've picked up a few pieces in the more recent days, but I'm gonna stop because they're not selling and it's not really worth it. Like, I used to think they were good because their material was well made and their normal cost was really expensive. And I remember buying a couple things that were new with tags, seeing the original listing price, and they were between $100 and $200. And I'm thinking, oh, I'm going to be able to sell these for a lot. And I never really was able to. So I think I learned very quickly that it's just not a good brand to resell because it just doesn't sell well. It's not what people are searching for. Okay, the next one I'm gonna mention might be slightly controversial because I know a lot of people like this brand in general, but it's Ralph Lauren, or even the sister brand Lauren Ralph Lauren. I just cannot sell them, and I just don't think it's really that I don't think it's that desirable to people these days. And I have had many pieces in my closet, including some really nice shoes and some nice shirts and things like that, and they just are not selling. It's crazy because a brand like that is expensive, that is well made, is not selling. And I think it's just because, again, it's not that desired and it's not like anything crazy. Their pieces are not anything crazy, and so maybe that's why it doesn't sell, but I just won't be picking it up going forward because it wasn't turning a profit for me. All right, Max Studio is the next brand, and this one is kind of a brand that I didn't really know much about, and then I started picking it up because it was selling, and now I have a bunch of Max Studio pieces that are not selling. So it kind of did like a complete 180 on me, and it was just kind of like a random brand that I had picked up, and I just decided to give it a try, and I'm realizing now quickly that it's not selling like it was at one point, and I don't really think it's worth picking up anymore. The value is just not there for me, and yeah, I know some other people are struggling with it too. So have you ever sold Max Studio? Let me know down below, and also let me know if you can sell Max Studio because I'm really struggling and I want to get rid of the pieces that I have. Okay, the next brand I know is going to ruffle a little bit of feathers here, Lululemon. So I know this is like a tried and true favorite for a lot of resellers out there, and unfortunately the reality is I think the market is just too saturated. I think there are too many resellers that are trying to sell it, and I do know of a lot of people that have success with the brand, and so that is great and all power to you if you do have that success. But I know personally I'm struggling to sell it, and I have one Lululemon piece in my closet. Now, keep in mind it does not have a size, but it is in great use condition, and it has no flaws or anything like that. But I just can't seem to sell it. It's been listed for a year. I'm ready to just sell it for $5 and call it a day. And every single time I pick up Lululemon now, I just can't sell it. And maybe I'm picking up the wrong styles, the wrong sizes. I don't really know, but I'm really struggling, and I just don't think it's worth picking up. I think too many resellers are trying to flip it, and too many resellers are doing that, and I just think it's making it really hard for people like me who just kind of find one-off pieces. And I remember a while ago, it used to be the brand that I would look for when I'd go thrifting, and in fact, whenever I'd go with family and friends, they'd be like, okay, what are the brands I should be looking for? I would always tell them Lululemon because I would always say that it sells really well, and I would be able to turn a profit on it. But at the end of the day, I never really sold anything for that much value, so I don't think it's worth it, and I probably won't ever pick it up going forward. Okay, and the final brand that I'm going to talk about in this video is actually Kate Spade. So this one is kind of shocking to me because I actually do like Kate Spade, and I have some Kate Spade bags myself, but I've had a couple Kate Spade pieces for the longest time, and they are not selling. I have handbags, I have clothing, I have shoes, I've even sold a passport holder. Like, I've sold a lot of different things from Kate Spade, and I just don't think they sell for the value that they are. I think they cost more than they are worth reselling for, and I think you're never going to be able to get the amount that you should when you resell them. And so I just don't think it's worth it. I probably won't be picking it up going forward, and anything that I have that's Kate Spade, I might list if I no longer want it, but I'm not going to go out buying it because it's just not going to sell for me. Okay, so let me know down below in the comments which of these again, you struggle selling, or maybe which of these that you actually have a lot of luck selling, because I know probably people have good luck with these brands. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, everyone can sell every brand, you know, the right buyer will come. And to me, I'm going to focus on brands that I know that are going to turn a profit for me, because at the end of the day, I have a very large closet and I'm really running out of room in my, you know, room here that I have. And so I'm only going to pick up pieces that I really think are going to sell for a good amount. And these brands are just not those. So I'm just not going to source them. But if they work for you, continue to source them and, you know, keep doing you. If you want to see another video on the truth about Poshmark, you could click right here. And if you want to see another video on reselling hacks, you could click right here. But until next time, I will see you then.